Because, Jackie, it's this little boy is being torn from his friend. And as he started to dramatize it,
Hollywood loves a good fairy tale, a talented child, a bright smile, and instant fame. But what happens when the applause fades? What happens when Hollywood turns its back on you? Today, we're looking at a rare group of child stars who vanished from Hollywood at the height of their fame. Children who shone brightly only to disappear from the spotlight and leave the world wondering what went wrong. Let's dive in. Deanna Durbin. Born in 1921 in Winnipeg, Canada, Deanna Durbin didn't grow into fame. She was swept into it. Gifted with a rare soprano voice, she was still a teenager when Hollywood took notice. Signed by Universal Studios at a time when the studio was nearing collapse, she arrived not as a gamble, but as a lifeline. Her effortless charm and crystalline voice made her an instant sensation, and film after film turned her into one of the most bankable stars of the 1930s. By 21, she was the second highest-paid woman in America, trailing only Bette Davis. Her films pulled Universal Studios back from the edge of bankruptcy during the Great Depression. Audiences didn't just watch her movies. They needed them. But Deanna never wanted to be a symbol. She wanted to be a person. At 27, after one final film, she walked away. No press conference, no farewell tour, just a quiet exit to a village in France where nobody cared about her box office numbers. For 6 decades, she refused interviews, declined reunion specials, and turned down millions. When reporters finally tracked her down, she offered only a simple truth: "I was never happy in Hollywood." Margaret O'Brien. Born in 1937 in San Diego, California, Margaret O'Brien entered Hollywood almost as soon as she could speak. Signed by MGM as a toddler, she quickly became one of the studio's most reliable emotional performers. She could cry on command, steal scenes from adults twice her age, outact seasoned professionals without breaking a sweat. At 7, Margaret O'Brien won a special Oscar and became MGM's emotional powerhouse. In Meet Me in St. Louis, she held her own against Judy Garland herself. Hollywood couldn't get enough of her, until they could. As Margaret grew, the roles vanished. Her teary-eyed persona didn't translate into teenage stardom. But unlike countless others who desperately clung to fading fame, Margaret made a radical choice. She walked away. She married, raised a family, lived far from the madness of show business. Today, at 87, she occasionally appears at classic film festivals, still gracious, still glowing. She handled her money wisely, kept her self-respect, and avoided the kind of downfall that ruined many stars of her time. Freddie Bartholomew. Born in 1924 in London, England, Freddie Bartholomew was raised with poise, polish, and perfect speech, qualities Hollywood adored. After moving to America, his refined charm made him an instant standout among child actors. With his crisp British accent and heartbreaking charm, Freddie Bartholomew became 1930s cinema royalty. He starred in David Copperfield, Little Lord Fauntleroy, and Captains Courageous, earning $2,500 weekly during the Great Depression. But Freddie's real drama wasn't on screen. It was in courtrooms. After fame hit, his long-lost parents returned, not for reconciliation, but for custody and control of his fortune. Legal battles drained his earnings. By 14, MGM dropped him. Most expected him to fade into bitterness or scandal. Instead, Freddie did something unexpected. He joined the military, then quietly built a second career in television advertising. Starting at the bottom, he worked his way up to executive and award-winning commercial director. To his colleagues, he wasn't a former star. He was just Fred from The Office. When he died in 1992, many never knew he'd once been one of Hollywood's brightest lights. And perhaps that's exactly how he wanted it. Jackie Coogan. Born in 1914 in Los Angeles, Jackie Coogan was practically raised on stage. Performing with his vaudeville parents, he was already seasoned when destiny intervened. He was Hollywood's first child megastar. Discovered by Charlie Chaplin at 7, Jackie Coogan broke hearts in The Kid, 1921, becoming an international sensation overnight. His face appeared on lunchboxes, dolls, and even peanut butter jars. By 10, he'd earned over $4 million. But when Jackie turned 21 and asked for his money, he learned a horrifying truth. It was gone. His mother and stepfather had spent nearly every penny of his fortune. This betrayal made headlines, and Jackie filed a lawsuit, but wasn't able to recover much from his parents. However, his situation led to the creation of the Coogan Law in California, which protects the earnings of child actors so others wouldn't face the same problem. So while he didn't get his fortune back, his case helped future child actors. Though Jackie never regained childhood fame, decades later, a new generation met him as Uncle Fester on The Addams Family. He died in 1984, not just a performer, but the boy who forced Hollywood to protect its children. Shirley Temple. Born in 1928 in Santa Monica, California, Shirley Temple was dancing almost as soon as she could walk. Hollywood quickly understood they weren't just hiring a child performer, they were creating something bigger. Before modern celebrity culture, there was Shirley. With dimples, ringlets, and tap shoes, she became the face of optimism during the Great Depression. At just 6 years old, she earned $50,000 per film, more than the President of the United States. No child star has ever ruled quite like her. But Hollywood is unforgiving, especially to girls who grow up. By 12, the box office magic waned. Her studio fired her, teenage roles dropped, and the industry that crowned her moved on. Many child stars would collapse under that loss, but Shirley Temple did something rarer. She evolved. She left the screen at 22, raised a family, then launched an entirely new career in politics. As a diplomat, she represented the United States at the UN, served as ambassador to Ghana, and later to Czechoslovakia. With poise and intellect, she won over world leaders the way she once charmed moviegoers. Shirley never chased her old fame. When asked about her acting days, she simply said, "My advice to anyone who wants to be an actor is simple: don't." Tommy Rettig. Born in 1941 in Queens, New York, Tommy Rettig found fame almost instantly. Film roles came early, followed by television, and by the 1950s, millions of Americans knew his face. To them, he was Jeff, the farm boy who shared the screen with TV's most loyal dog. But behind the scenes, Tommy was struggling. Fame didn't feel like freedom to him. It felt like a cage that was closing in, leaving him trapped and lonely. His schedule was tightly packed, and he didn't have time to be a child. At 14, he shocked producers by asking to be released from his contract. He didn't want to grow up on camera. He wanted his life back. What followed wasn't smooth. Typecast and trapped by his childhood image, Tommy couldn't land serious roles. Hollywood turned its back, but Tommy didn't stay down. In a twist nobody saw coming, he reinvented himself. Behind the screen this time, he dove into the rising world of computers, becoming a pioneer in database programming and a respected tech author. He never chased applause again. He didn't want fame back. He wanted his life, and he built it on his own terms. Scotty Beckett. Born in 1929 in Oakland, California, Scotty Beckett grew up under hot studio lights instead of street lamps. Acting wasn't a dream he chased. It was a reality assigned to him. By the time most children were learning multiplication tables, Scotty was already a working professional. Audiences watched him grow up in real time. He stole hearts in Our Gang comedies, then seamlessly transitioned into features, playing young versions of Spencer Tracy and Al Jolson. For a while, it seemed Scotty had cracked the code. He kept working, he kept growing, but life off camera told a far darker story. When Scotty was 14, his father died, And this moment changed everything. He got into drugs, and fame, which once seemed exciting, turned into a curse that controlled his life. By his late teens, Scotty was falling apart. Pills, alcohol, and arrests. The clean-cut boy America loved became a tabloid story. The 1950s were especially harsh for him. His marriages ended. Hollywood roles disappeared. His troubles kept growing. He went from starring in Rocky Jones, Space Ranger, to begging for second chances. In 1968, after a mysterious beating, Scotty went into a nursing home. 2 days later, he was found dead from a barbiturate overdose. He was only 38. Scotty Beckett's story shows one thing: Hollywood doesn't just make stars. Sometimes, it can also destroy them. Now, all 7 of these names weren't just child stars who faded away. They were real people, shaped and sometimes damaged by an industry that cared more about fame than feelings. But each one left behind a question we still ask today. What happens when the cameras stop rolling? So, what do you think? Were these stars victims of Hollywood or shaped by the world they grew up in? Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. If you liked this video, ensure you give it a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, because we will be uploading more crazy stories like this one in the coming weeks. Until then, see ya.